It's great to be here. Unfortunately, I don't understand the jokes. So you need to tell me later. I'm also aware that some of you have not eaten, so I will be short, okay? I have one objective only today. One objective, to blow up your brain. In Russian, we call it взрыв мозга. Okay, so bear with me. Let me tell you a story. When I was young, I wanted to change the world. I wanted to help, and I wanted to do something unique, special. So what did I do? Well, I got a job in Afghanistan. I was the head of mission of the largest Central European NGO called People in Need, and I went to Afghanistan to help people. And it was a great job. I mean, we achieved fantastic stuff. This picture is a test run of a small water power plant that we built in a remote valley in Afghanistan, completely sustainable source of energy. Now look at those people, right? So you see me, the young person, then you have the politician who knows he needs to be looking at the camera, he's good. Then the two guys next to it, those are my engineers, right? And they're looking at the generator and they're like, bloody hell, this actually works, right? And they're probably praying that it keeps working, right? The proof is on the picture. It's the bulb, right? And if you look at the guy at the back, you know, he's probably never seen a light bulb before, right? He's looking at it like, what? Seriously? You know, in the Hindu Kush, okay? So, that was a fantastic time of my life. But then I started thinking, look, you know, I am getting a little bit too old for this drama. I'm getting a little bit old for the danger. I'm not earning any money. You know, that job didn't pay much. I need to save money. I need to buy a house. I need to find a partner. I need to get married. I need to get children. You know, I need to get a promotion. I need to buy another house. And also, I didn't like the bathroom that we had. This is the first time ever. This is the first time ever I show a naked picture of myself to someone, okay? So, what happened? I became a consultant. And it's not as bad as it sounds. I'm still helping to change the world. I'm helping leaders become better leaders. I am training HR people. I am helping them get CIPD qualifications and get internationally recognized. It's all good. Not a big problem. There is only one difference between these two pictures. 10 years. Exactly 10 years between these two pictures. And okay, also, 10 kilos and a bit of makeup on the left, right? So what's wrong with this story? The wrong thing with this story is that the way I was thinking about my life, the way that we live our life, that was based on a completely wrong assumption of how life works. And that's our life, that's your life, that's the life of your employees, and it's also the life of your companies and your countries. Why is that? Well, you will all live to 100 years old. Okay? Let me say it again. You will live to 100 years old. Okay? Since the majority of you are women, you will probably live longer. And it's not a wish, it's not some kind of, Jan has just came up with this idea. By the way, the idea is by Linda Grattan, who is a London School of Economics professor. She works with PwC and she helps us do every year studies around the future of the workforce and the future of the workplace. And I will show you some of our suggestions. So this is not a crazy thing, it's a fact. right? Those of you who are into innovation, into new things, into future, you know that you need to study trends. Now, the trend is very clear. The trend is extremely clear. This is Georgia, but it works for the whole world. And obviously, while it looks slightly different, the trend is very, very clear. Okay? None of you will die of a heart attack. I know there is a sponsor from a hospital. You know, the diagnostic today is so good. We will have predictive data modeling that will tell us that you are getting sick before you know it yourself. And we already have it. We have it today. HIV/AIDS, which used to be a deadly disease just 10 years ago, today, HIV patients have exactly the same life expectancy as everyone else, etc., etc., etc. So you will all live to 100. Now, good news for you. Some of you are, oh my God, you know, what will I do? Well, precisely, because what you have to do is you actually need to graph it, okay? I'm a consultant, I love graphs. So let's have a look at it, right? 100, 0. Now, the problem is that we think about our lives from the experience that we get from our parents and grandparents. So we think about our lives as the life of our grandparents. Okay, my grandfather, he was called Przecislav. Okay, but for simplicity, I call him John. Okay, John was born in 1940. And John led the following life. He studied until 24. Then he went to work. He worked until 60, 62. Then he retired, and he died around the age of 73. Yeah, which is the current life expectancy in Georgia, right? Now, the problem is, if we think about our lives like John, we end up with this. Okay? Now, the problem is, this cannot work, even if you want. It is not going to work for you, and it's not going to work for your people. Why? How much money do you think John had to save in order to have a nice retirement in percentage of income? How many percent did he have to save? More than 15? 9? 30? Nah, John was lucky. John only had to save around 4% of his income in order to have a nice retirement. Yeah, 4%, it's easy, yeah? It's not a problem, okay? Now, if you think about your life, like the life of John, how much will you have to save in order to have a nice retirement? 90. Well, that's a pessimistic view here, 90, yeah, okay. You are being a little bit too pessimistic, but you know, the research says you would have to save around 30% of your income. Now, how many of you are saving 30% of your monthly income? Raise your hand. There's one. Good. Excellent. Congratulations. And there's another one. Excellent, right? So, 90% of people will never be able to achieve that, okay? And that, by the way, means not that you're saving today 30%, it's you have to save from the day you start working 30%. And if you haven't been saving for the past 20 years, then you need to be saving a lot more. So this is just not gonna work, okay? That's just not, it's nonsense. It's a complete nonsense, right? Instead, the life that we live is the life of Jan. My life. Jan was born in 1980, okay? Jan also studied, and then Jan started working. And Jan has now accepted that he will have to work until the age of 80. And then he will retire, and he will still have 20 years of retirement, which is more than my grandfather did. Okay? But I will have to work until 80. And you will have to work until 80. And your people will have to work until 80. And what does that mean for you? is we need to rethink how we motivate people, how we attract them, what do we do for them? Because that's the life we live today. It's not the future, that's today. And there is the future because I will die in 2080. As easy as that. So, what do we have to do? What do we have to start doing today? Well, the number one motivation is no longer money. Right? There is just no way we are going to be able to save to retire at the age of 60 and then live 40 years in retirement. Plus, you don't want to do it. Work is really good for you. For every year you work after the age of 70, you decrease the likelihood of getting Alzheimer's by 3%. Okay? So the number one motivation, the number one thing that we have to do is to look after vitality. What does it mean? It means well-being. It means being healthy. And the doctors can't really agree on what healthy means, right? Someone will tell you, don't eat fats, but not those fats. It's probably good to drink red wine, but not to drink red wine. When, you shouldn't be drinking, but you should be drinking. We don't know whether you should be. We don't know whether you should be eating aspirin or not, There is one thing the doctors agree on. Sleep. Sleep. 8 hours. 8 hours of sleep a day. It's your task number one for your health, your children, your employees. 8 hours a day. Sleeping. Right? If you take away nothing from here, from today, I want you to remember 8 hours of sleep. Because you will have to work until 80. I'm not joking. I look like I'm joking, but I'm not. This is very serious. Right? Number two. And by the way, there are only 5 steps, and the steps are available in our research that we did with Linda, which is called Preparing for Tomorrow's Workforce Today. The second step is social support, social networks. We need to be better at that. You have to have wide, diverse social networks. Why? Because if you look at John, his life only had 2 major transitions. He had a transition from school to work, and then from work to retirement. And John did this with a group of his friends, right? They all went to school together, and then they all retired together. What we have, if we are to work until 80, we will have multiple transitions. And because of innovation, because of technology, digitalization, all these wonderful things you hear about every day, the transitions are faster. They're coming faster. The time is shortening. It's not every 20 years you will transition. You will be probably transitioning every 5 years. And you will do it alone, because your friends from school will transition at different periods of time. So that causes stress. And stress is the number one killer. And it's going to be the number one killer. Actually, we did a research in the UK, where I worked for a couple of years. We found out that every 4th employee, 25% of your employees will take time off in a given year for stress-related illness. Okay? In this region, we tend to sort of go on, but it's coming. So you need social support, because when you are doing those transitions, you're building a new business, you are starting something new, you're changing a career, you're changing a profession maybe, you're learning something new, it's stressful. And you need support, and you need social support. And the problem is, those of you who have kids, is the younger generations are not very good at networking, right? They all live with this thing. And they think that, my Instagram followers are my friends. And they're not, right? Who are your friends you can call at 4 o'clock in the morning to go and save you, to offer you a new job, to help you build a new business, to inspire you to study something else? So social support, social skills is something we need to be building consciously, and a lot more than we are doing it today. And we need to be building it in companies, right? Co-working is a great idea, great idea. 3 more things. 1, adaptability. So what are you doing today to help people adapt, to help them learn, to help them be agile? In PwC, for example, we have a digital fitness app because we found out that the young guys don't actually know anything about digital. They grew up with it, but they don't really understand it. Now, if you don't understand what's happening, it is difficult for you to adapt. Right? So, what are you doing today to help your people understand what is happening around them? Really understand. The last two I will mention only shortly. Entrepreneurship, the innovation. How do you keep it inside the company? Our research shows that 75% of successful ideas were innovated within a company and then taken outside to be implemented. And in your case, in Georgia, the biggest problem is it's not only taken outside of your companies, it may be taken outside of your country. Right? So someone innovates in your country and then comes to Prague and creates a successful business in Prague. And I have many Georgian friends who have done that in Prague. And you have a problem there. So you have to work on that. And the last one, autonomy. Again, research shows 50% of employees will take a 20% cut in their salary if they only have to work 4 days. So give them autonomy, give them freedom so that they can create transitions, so that they can take care of their vitality, so that they can live the life we live today. So let me leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. There is 10 years difference between these two guys, but there is another difference. The person on the left, on the right, your right, he has 52 years of work ahead of him, but he doesn't know it. Okay? That one has 42 years of work ahead of him, but he knows it. And now you know it too. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Just 1 second. Thank you so much. One question, and let me ask this to everyone in this room. What will you be doing when you are 91?
Good question. I don't know, and I don't think anyone knows, because we have no clue what this innovation and digitalization, robotics, blockchain, all these things are going to bring. We don't know what our life is going to look like in 5 years' time. And that is both interesting and scary. So our job as HR is to help make it slightly less scary for people, to help them navigate it. That's our job. That's our purpose in life, if you want.
Let's take the courage and do that.
Thank you very much.